Alright, so this first demo is gonna be a a recap of what we did last week. So here we have a wedge, right? So what you do first is, again, similar to the exercises that we had last week, is we have to create a side view or a cross section um, of this wedge. So like this, you have a cross section. So from here, you try to imagine you slicing this wedge on this axis. Okay. Then from here, well, from here I started with a vertical plane, right? And then from here, I will try to choose a good tilt for for my for my wedge. So here, um, I would think placing the tilt around this area, I think it would be a good spot for that. So again, let's create a point there, and then let's create a line here. And then what we're gonna do next is, well, we're gonna again extend the forms on both directions, left and right. So what we do first is we focus on the first side. So again, we're just creating significant planes, vertical planes, for each significant point in our drawing. So for example, this point right here, it's a corner. So we're gonna create a vertical box there so we can mirror this to the opposite side. And since this plane here has the same dimensions all throughout, so we can just create a straight line here going to a vanishing point somewhere. Okay, so remember guys, once again, for the past few weeks, all that we've been drawing, all the lines here don't have a vanishing point that's present in the canvas. So just remember that all these lines go somewhere off screen. Alright, so let's extend another line here. Now since at this corner well we can't draw a box here since um, there's no significant plane change here. So essentially this is the end of, of, of the wedge. So what we can do for that to help us mirror this later on is we can create a smaller box here. And so we can flip that to the other side. Right, so for here, well, let's just create another box to help us with the planes. Alright, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna mirror them to the opposite side. So let's use the ever helpful X method to help us mirror this. So once again, I'm zooming in so you can see what's happening. So here's the midpoint. So we're gonna create an extension of this midpoint throughout this axis. Okay, then from here we're gonna use this corner here, or even this corner here, either of the two. Then from this corner, okay, let's mark it green so you can see the color change. So from here to this midpoint here, right? So we're gonna place a line across that, okay? And then from that, we'll create a line here, okay? Until we find a new intersection, okay? Now the thing here is, okay, let's go back because I think um, the midpoint here is not really good. So you have this point here, so I think it should go this way. Yeah, it's a bit higher. Okay, so again, let's go back. So again, choose the corner, the upper right corner, and then from here, you make a line across this midpoint right here. Okay, and then use this corner here to create a straight line until you find a intersection between this green line here and the new straight line that you've drawn at the bottom. And then from that intersection, well, you just go up from here. That's your mirrored plane. Now, since we, again, as I mentioned a while ago, that all of them have the same dimensions, well, we don't need to mirror these boxes anymore in space, since we just only need one dimension all throughout this wedge. So what we're gonna do next is to simply extend it all the way here. Okay, and then from here extend, and these are your guidelines, and then from these guidelines, okay, from these guidelines we'll create the actual wedge. So here, 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 extend this here, connect here. No, no, no. So in order to find this, okay, we can simply extend this line here, go up there, and then connect this line here. And then from this point down here, that's it. From here, just extend this. Okay, as simple as that. So that's how you draw a wedge in a constructive manner. So again, you're just creating um, a wedge from the inside out. So there's a lot of lines that are drawn, a lot of a lot of analysis, and a lot of duplicating lines, a lot of mirroring lines in space. But if you get things right, the final lines will come pretty easy. So there. Now let's move on to the next wedge. Now here is the next wedge, which is, well, it's the same wedge, but there's a bunch of stuff added to the sides. Essentially, it this wedge here has wings. So how would you draw this part here, especially at this angle, right? Um, it's hard to draw this freehand because this part here, or the rest of the part of this wing here, is obscured by this plane. So for us to be able to draw this properly, again, we have to draw from the inside out. So we have to imagine what's going on behind this plane. So in order to do that, in order to successfully do this, because this 3D model here, when you look at this from the front view, this is actually the same thing. They're identical. So for us to be able to replicate that to the other side, we first have to draw this side here. So what we're gonna do is, well, of course, we're gonna project some lines. So from here, again, um, you choose the approximate size of this plane here. So let's focus first on this plane. Okay, so maybe it's gonna be this long. Now I'm not very particular on how big you want this to be. I'm not really after that, so it's up to you guys to choose the proper size. You can go this big, okay, you can go this small. What's important here is you draw a similar shape. Now for me, I've chosen this side right here. Okay, so that's gonna be how long this this plane is gonna be, and maybe it's not really exactly at the corner here. Maybe it's a bit shorter. Okay, now from that, what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna project a a line here. That's gonna be approximately the length of the whole thing. Okay, so I'm imagining this line here. Again, how long it is, but it's up to you. Again, because our goal here is not to copy the exact same measurements. What we're after is copying um, the shapes. So here, again, we have this approximate length. Now, what our goal here is just to replicate this to the other side. So again, don't be intimidated by the whole thing, the whole complex shape here. Just imagine, lines that can be projected to the other side. Because I've told you how to do this for the past 2 weeks. Okay, so essentially every complex shape can be translated into simple lines. Okay, so from here on out, let's create the height of this object. Okay, and then from here, let's create this shape here. Again, similar to this one. And then let's create this point right here. Okay, so I need to create this plane first because it's gonna be a different shape. And I need this shape to be also duplicated to the other side. So again, let's just focus on this shape first. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, well, to avoid confusion, we can bring this down in space. Okay, and then project it backwards in space. Or, hmm, wait, I'm thinking of a cleaner way. Nah, let's not do that. Okay, let's just use what we have here, since we already have the midpoint here. Okay, let's just use this. So let's extend all the way here. Okay, and let's create a line here. So essentially, we're extending this plane to go all the way to the middle. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is we need to create this shape. Okay, now we know that this part here, and when we mirror this part here, it's exactly here since we already made this block, so we know where it ends. So we know where the shape, it doesn't, we know where it actually starts. Okay, so it's gonna be right here. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is we are gonna create, again, we're gonna create x um, intersections. We're gonna use the cross method or the x method to create um, the midpoint for our plane right here. So from here, okay, so first we create the midpoint for this big box right here, and then from here let's extend this again to find this cross section here, which we will use to create an extension here. So how do we do that? Well, we use this, the far right corner, since we are essentially extending. Okay, all right, so from here let's go up, and then here we have the shape properly extended. Okay, now what we do here to the other side, since, well, we can't, well, we can actually create a box here actually. So what we do here, just to make things simpler, is we create a new box here. Okay, okay, a new box here, and then we're gonna use the same midpoint. Okay, same midpoint, move it across here, then there we go. Now we have created the significant points that we need our for our plane or for our wedge. Okay, so you see this intersection here, it's happening also here, and then this intersection of lines is where the incline would start. So let's do that as well. So again, we have successfully mirrored the shape. Okay, now it's only a matter of us cleaning up all these stuff. Now if it starts to get a bit confusing, okay guys, use a different colored pencil to avoid confusion, or just erase the lines that you don't need anymore. Okay, so from here, let's create this. Okay, from here, and let's remove the layer underneath. So this is how it looks on a 3/4 view. Now what we do next is just simply, this is just simply giving these shapes volume. So we extend these shapes maybe all the way here. Again, I'm not copying the exact layout of my reference here. So I'll probably extend this just to show how helpful this is when you're drawing these overlapping forms. And I'm just showing you guys how helpful it is to draw even the things that you're not seeing. For example, this plane right here. You're not seeing this exactly. So when I actually complete this wedge here, I don't actually need this anymore. But in case that maybe this wedge, if I give it volume, maybe if it goes all the way here, right? So I need to know the parts that should appear. So in order for us to know how much of the shape would appear, well, again, we have to draw what's behind. So for example here, maybe let's extend this all the way here. Okay, maybe like this, right? And then let's create the wedge or the bottom plane of the wedge here, and then let's extend this wedge here. All right, so let's extend this here. Maybe it ends here. All right, so maybe let's have it end at this exact corner. All right, so here, it's right here. All right, then let's remove these lines here to avoid unnecessary confusion. So from here, let's extend this right around here. All right, then from here, let's extend this line uh, all the way here. All right, and then since we know where it ends here, we're just gonna simply meet this line here. And from here, let's pull it down. Let's put it down here. Okay, and then let's create the actual wedge. So here and here. Okay, then from here, what we do next is we clean all of these up. So let me change the color of this. Maybe let's make it blue. Okay, and let's draw the whole wedge. Okay, so this wedge here that I have, okay, this wedge here is the same wedge that I did from previous exercise. It's just on a different angle. So this wedge here is what I did, or not this one. It's actually this one, or rather this one. This is the same wedge. Okay, it's just on a different angle. So essentially, this is just a part two of that wedge since it has wings. Okay, so um, let's just apply a black line to the whole thing so you can see where everything goes. Now for this exercise, I I think I would let you guys use a ruler since the process is confusing. There's so many lines, and in order to help you with the difficulty of of these lines, I'm gonna let you use a ruler, and so you can just focus on creating or practicing the technique of projecting lines across a midpoint. So yeah, here's the wedge. Okay, so this simple shape actually has a lot of complicated stuff going on when you actually construct it from the inside out. Now we have another wedge here that presents a different problem here. The tip here is tapered. Now the tip here is tapered on the lower half of of its origin, so it's not really here at the middle. Okay, so in order to be able to draw this, and once again, we're gonna be creating a cross section of this wedge. And again, you think of how it's gonna look when you slice it this way. So it's probably gonna look like this. And also, since you can see here that my 3D model has a bunch of divisions here, you could say that this is composed of two equal boxes, which we could just estimate right about here, and a third longer box, which is where the tapering happens. Okay, from here we can decide, okay, maybe this is a bit too long. So from here, okay, now from this initial cross section, you have to look at the side view here, okay, and see as what I said a while ago, that the tapering happens at a lower angle. So imagine you have a box here, which is this one. You can't have the taper go exactly at the middle. So you have to go a bit lower. Now, how low? Well, again, it's up to you. As long as it's happening at the lower half of the box. Okay? And then once again, what we're going to do is we are going to be projecting all these shapes into a three-dimensional form. And now to start, we're gonna deal with the taper. Okay, now we're just gonna focus on the side that's closest to us. So let's project it this way. Okay, and let's project another plane here. And again, let's choose how thick this is gonna look from this side. And once again, here's another guide that you can use to help you imagine or visualize our drawing. So maybe let's adjust this angle here and make it a bit more closer to the ground. Alright, now as you can see, if we create a a plane here at the front view, okay, you would see that the taper happens around this area. So once again, imagine you have a flat plane here directly below the tapered end of our wedge. You would see that the tapering happens around this corner. Okay, now you don't have to be, again, you don't have to be super duper accurate. So let's just choose an arbitrary area on where the taper may happen. Okay, so it's probably, well, I think this one's a good spot. So from this point, let's project a line. Okay, so that's where the taper is gonna happen. Okay, and let's fully create this shape right here. All right, now what we're gonna do next is we are gonna project a line here like so, then bring it back up. Okay, then from here, from this intersection, well, from these points of intersections, we're gonna create a new plane. Okay, then from this one, we now have the points that we need to create the lines going back in space. Well, not in space, but going back to these corners to create the taper that we need. So here, connect and connect. Okay, now let's make these broken lines so you can really see what's happening to that taper. Okay, now what we're gonna do next is we simply create an X method here, a division here, then once again project it this way. All right, down here, here, move it upwards. Then we have the same plane projected to the opposite side. And finally, we extend down here so we can use this. Okay, so we can use this to create, well, actually, we don't need this anymore. We just need this. So let's erase this. What we do now is here on this side, since it's a different, this one has a narrower dimension compared to this one, so we need to project this one backwards or to the opposite side. So here, there we go. Project again to the intersection at the middle. And here, let's go up. And finally, project this line here to completely transfer this dimension to the opposite side. And then from that, again, let's connect the dots from this point, these these points here. So here and here. Now we have successfully replicated this kind of wedge, the tapered wedge that we have here. Although this one is a bit thicker, but the point still stands. We've created a similar shape. Alright, now what's next? Well, we just simply move back in space, complete the rest of the box or the cubes at the back here, like so. Then extend, 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 like so. Okay, and what's left or what's next is we again create black lines here to fully show the wedge that we did. Now when you are doing these exercises, I always want you guys to start at the middle. You always want to create a cross section before you create the volume for this particular shape. I don't want you guys to see or to create something like this, you know, without any regard to what's happening on the inside construction of the shape. Yes, it's a basic shape, right? At the end of the day, but you need to show me how you constructed this shape from the inside out.